From the earliest days of film, music played a part. When silent film was first introduced at the turn of the century, the film projector was anything but silent. Music was therefore enlisted to mask the extraneous noise. While serving the mass function, music also was exploited to illustrate and explain the action. Directors emphasizes that the noise problem of the film was relatively short-lived, and yet the importance of music remained. For a filmmaker, music can be the essential glue for the various scenes that follow, the suitable leitmotif for an organic view of the cinematography work. Music has many functions in movies, but the most important is the domestic one. This function shows the ability of music to evoke memories. A clear example are those soundtracks where a theme is associated with a specific situation from the first minutes, allowing the bound between sound and image. But this relationship between music and emotion doesn't only concern the cinematography field. In fact, in the 80s, due to an increase in expectation and demands of the consumers toward the products, market studies started to focus more on the importance of the sensorial and emotional dimension of consumption. For this reason today, it's impossible to sell a product without considering the emotional context of the consumer. Due to these changes during the years, marketing needs to change its role in companies and in society in order to take into consideration also the emotional world. There are 7 specific areas of perceptual marketing, from which we can derive intervention strategies that can be used in the marketing system. But the most notable one, as far as our study case is concerned, is the auditory marketing. Music is part of our lives forever. In fact, people immediately associate a melody to beautiful or unpleasant moments of our lives, because music is a strong emotional stimulator, and as already said, music affects emotions and may influence the consumer behavior. Music is undoubtedly a very strong tool, and for this reason right now is the tool that mostly attracts the attention of marketing managers, because it can convey emotion to a wide audience through a universal language. Listening or even making music is good for both physical and mental health. Music stimulates the immune system, reducing anxiety and stress. Professor Daniel J. Levitin, a famous neuroscientist at the McGill University, and his team of researchers conducted a systematic review by analyzing 400 studies focused on the neurochemistry of music. Thanks to this work, Professor Levitin was able to show that playing and listening to music has significant benefits for both mental and physical health. For example, physically speaking, it was demonstrated that music improves the functions of the immune system with an increase of both hemoglobin A and the number of natural killer cells, or lymphocytes. Furthermore, it was discovered that music reduces the level of stress and cortisol. Like Rossella Semplici says in her book La cura della salute, we went from a magical conception, founded on the belief that music could influence diseases and healing, to a new conception in recent times, of music therapy. Music therapy is the use of music and musical elements by a qualified music therapist. The patient can achieve better intra- and interpersonal integration, and consequently, they can improve the quality of their lives through rehabilitative, preventive, and therapeutic process. Also, this type of therapy is perfect for patients that suffer from autism, depression, psychosis, Alzheimer, Parkinson, and coma. Many neuroscience research on the relationship between music and brain show how listening and especially practicing music have a significant impact on the brain while learning and working. Music then allowed us to access to a deeper understanding of the process associated with human cognition. The University of Taiwan has shown that listening to a piece of music before taking a cognitive action facilitates the process. The musical intelligence can be seen as a model in the educational process. How often does it happen that, thanks to a song, we are able to formulate a sentence in a foreign language or to remember a specific sequence? But music doesn't only help our memory, it also helps our brain to remain active and developed, allowing better multisensory interaction like learning, planning, memory, attention, and creativity. Music is part of our daily lives. It's something that touches and that remains within us forever. Music moves us from the first time we hear it, and it keeps on doing so every time we listen to it, because somehow it evokes a part of us. It happens all the time, and it happens to everyone. Music becomes a language that does not use words, and therefore has no cultural or national barriers, and does not have different grammars. We live our emotion in our own way, but the physical demonstration are the same in all human beings: flashing, palpitation, and sweating. This process is related to the amygdala, a part of our brain within the limbic system. The amygdala is the organ of emotion and acts as a sort of emotional memory file, becoming the repository of the personal meaning that each individual attaches to the event of his life. Numerous studies have been carried out since 1936 on the emotional responses to music. The fact that these responses are common to all is demonstrated in an important experiment recently conducted at the University of Montreal by Isabelle Press. She recorded the changes induced by music by taking into account various psychological parameters such as blood pressure, heart rate, and electrical conductivity of the skin. In this experiment, a group of people had to listen to different songs that were classified as happy, calm, fearful, and sad. Thanks to this experiment, it was shown that music has the same effect on all listeners, regardless the subjective judgment on the type of emotion. For example, songs that were classified as fearful determined the highest skin reaction, which is characterized by a significant increase in sweating. The fact that these psychological responses are independent of the subjective judgment shows that the listener is not necessarily aware of the effect that music has on him, and it gives us an idea of the influence that music has on our behavior. Research today focuses on the particular aspects of the emotional reaction to music, like the thrill. The term is referred to the feeling of thrill that we have when listening to some music, and it is an emotional response that almost everyone has experienced, and that is undoubtedly fascinating and very unique. In a recent study, the phenomenon of thrills, along with concomitant psychological reaction, has been examined. The highest number of shivering was observed during musical passages, marked by a dynamic and harmonic characteristics. For participants who felt a thrill in the course of this study, the increase in skin conductance were significant, while heart rate did not change. The brain areas involved in this process include areas that researchers thought were only interested in biological gratification and motivation like food or sex. The results lead experts like Cogliani to a fundamental question. Why should music, which is an abstract sequence of sound, have something to do with the main theme of survival? This is a relevant hint since it underlines the importance of music in life, for reproduction and survival. Music retains the ability to convey its emotional meaning. In other words, I believe that music can be considered as a real language. Language and music are typical traits of the human being and appears to be universal. Stating the universality of language means believing individuals to be able to acquire a linguistic and musical competences,